Hey, and welcome to another episode of Motors and Meats. Today we're working on the brakes again, and we're not all the way up here to part 2. We'll call it part 1.5 because we're still on the pads. As soon as I installed the pads and bedded them in and went for my first regular daily around town drive, I realized that these are very, very squealy, very noisy. So I've looked for some solutions and I think I've found one. So I have this CRC brand disc brake quiet, and it squeezes out of the tube and you just apply it to the back of the brake pads, and then I'm smearing it on a bit like a cake decorator, it seems, with a plastic knife and making it nice and smooth. And it asks for 10 to 15 minutes to allow that to sort of congeal because it comes out in a very liquidy state. Once you let it dry up a bit, it turns into kind of a rubbery substance. So I already tried it once and I was in a big hurry, and I know if you do something wrong, you do it twice. Well, this is my second time. The first time I just took the nozzle of this thing without even taking the brake pads out, crammed it down inside of here and squeezed away, and just hoped it got into place well enough, and it just, you know, it made a mess is all it did. So I've just spent the last few minutes peeling all the old rubbery substance off of here and then reapplying this, letting it dry up. So we're going to move on to the next wheel while this one's drying and see how this goes. This is a really messy job, so make sure you've got plenty of your blue shop towels. Use some rubber gloves. If you weren't planning on it, plan on spending a lot of time cleaning your fingers off. Hopefully that'll light up enough so that you can see the red goop on here where I squirted the nozzle inside behind the brake pads the other day and just made a mess of things. It definitely did not quiet things down, so I'm hoping that doing it the right way is going to do the trick. So we're right back where we started on the last video. We're just going to take off this pin, this cotter pin first, and then this spring bracket here, and that's going to allow the brake pads to come out. First I need to squeeze on these pads though to allow them to have space to come off of the rotor, pushing the fluid back inside the reservoir. So check this out. This is where I squirted the stuff in, and it is rubbery, but I did not get anywhere near to the point where it was going to actually do any good. It needed to be down here where it makes contact, and it only made it to the top here. So I'm going to peel all this junk off after I get this other one out as well. Ugh. And then we start over. Gross. Some of it I put on way too thick, so it's still even liquidy inside of the rubbery part, making a really nasty mess of things. I'll hit these with the brake clean here in a moment as well to finish them off. But for now, we just want to peel it off because it is rubbery. So I got all those surfaces cleaned up, used a little brake clean to spray inside here and here, and wiped it all down really well. And now I'm going to apply some of this this grease here. Let's see if you can see that. Boop. Brake grease. Anyway, it said to put it on all metal parts, so I'm just rubbing that on the inside, not on not on the rotor, just on the inside of the caliper. Anywhere that the back side of the brake pad is going to touch. I'm also putting it on the inside of these holes here where the pin goes through. They actually do want us to put that on there. I was at first conflicted, you know, do I do one versus the other? And then reading the instructions says to do both. While we're at it, a lot of you complained about how filthy my wheels were. So I took the opportunity to scrub these things down. This is the front wheel. This is the one that had my blown out shock. So it was absolutely filthy, but you can see even inside of the wheel, I got it about as clean as these things will come. But for now, they're looking Nice and shiny. Let's compare them to the other side. Yeah, that's dirty. The whole car is disgusting. Look at that. Oh, gross. Yeah, well, I live on a dirt road, and that is filthy. But I promise they're going to be clean by the time we do our test drive. Now for the fun part. So we take our brake quiet and we squirt it on the back here, and I'm going to use a plastic knife to smear this stuff onto here to get a nice even coat. And that's probably plenty right there. Like making a sandwich. I don't ever actually use a knife when I'm making a sandwich. I just squirt that stuff on there and go, which is probably why I thought that that would be just fine to do the same to my brake pads, but it was not fine. Oops, I keep making it worse. Oh, that looks good right there. Look at that. Do the same thing to the other pad. Basically what this does is it gives a nice rubber coating to the back side of the brake pad, so it prevents the metal on metal, which causes that harmonic vibration, aka brake squeal. Alright, so those are done. Now we just need to let them set up for a while, and while we do, we can move back to the front side and go ahead and put it back on, because they should be done. Alright, I've just dropped in these pads. I made sure not to scrape the red part off on the inside of the caliper, and got them in place. I've got the clip in place, and I'm just about to start moving this pin into place, and we should be good to go. I'm going to go ahead and drive this back in and do the other side, do the other two wheels, get those cleaned up, and I will see you at the test drive. Guys, I think I solved my problem. I've been driving here for about 5 minutes and coming to a stop and speeding back up again and stopping again, and I'm not hearing any squeals from the brakes, so I think that that took care of the issue. I was really beginning to think that I was going to have to switch back to some non-race pads, and I was, upset about that. I guess I was really looking forward to a way to have some upgraded brakes without going all out with like a big brake kit or something crazy like that. Crazy expensive at least. So that did it. That took care of the squeal from the brakes, and all it took was, basically doing things the way you're supposed to do them. So if you're adding that type of pad to your car, make sure and put some of that on the back side of the pad so that it gets rid of that squeal. It gets rid of the metal on metal contact and makes things a lot nicer. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure and hit that button and check out the first video if you haven't already.